everyone, and welcome to this month's episode of Mix It Up Monday. I'm Linda, the scrapbooking photographer, and Mix It Up Monday is a YouTube hop we do with Peace Love Craft Clubhouse, run by Anna R. Veach and Tara O'Rourke. And this month we have a sketch to follow, which is, to me, ideal for 3 different things. So my intention at this stage is to do a 12 by 12 layout of it today. And then over the next couple of weeks I'm going to follow up with a 6 by 8 and also a card, because I think it would fit, the sketch would fit really well if we manipulated the measurements a little bit. So stick with me over the next couple of weeks. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, now's a really good time to do so, and then you'll get notified when those videos come up. And the first thing I'm going to do is make a little trellis fence to go down the left hand side of the page, and I'm going to use black and brown for that on my Cricut. My Cricut mat is lost its sticky. If you have a Cricut, you'll know what I mean by that. The card is supposed to stick to the mat, but it's lost a little bit, so I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape in different places to keep this secured, so that when it cuts it doesn't move the cardstock around. So this adds a little bit of life to your cutting mat, and that should be good. Okay, so I'll just whip away and do that, and I'll be back soon. Okay, so then I can just peel this. Now this is the back of the trellis that I want to put down the left hand side. I'll just get that out, and then I can print the front. Okay, so that will go like that. So with the Cricut on a 12-inch mat, you can't actually print or cut something that's 12 inches long. So I've chosen to do it in 2 lots of 6, and I can either join them so that they look as though they're one, or if the join annoys me, I'll put something over the top of it. Now these I think will be quite handy in other projects, so I'm going to keep them. I don't know what they'll come in handy for, but they're very nice, precise diamond shapes, so I'm sure I'll find a use for them at some point. I'm going to use the brown cardstock to do the front of the trellis. So again, I'm going to stick this in with some washi tape to make it nice and secure. Okay, now when I do this, I'm also on my Cricut Design Space. The default cutting position is up in the top left hand corner, which I don't want the tape to get in the way, so I'm bringing them down just an inch or so into here. Okay, so I'll do the brown, then I'll be back. So we'll just undo the tape on here. I'll leave it there in case we cut anything else out on the Cricut, but you can see here where they've been divided into 2 lots of 6 inches, and just move slightly down from the edge just to make it a little bit easier to cut on this non-sticky mat. Okay, so we'll put that to one side. And then we've got some more diamonds. So I have saved the dimensions too in my Cricut Design Space, so if I wanted more of these diamonds the same size in a different colour, I'd be able to print them. Right, so we'll put those over there as well. I'll just move these other pieces of cardstock out of the way and bring in the white daisy and show you what I mean about this trellis. So the black is going down on the back side of it, down the left hand side, and then these brown pieces have been cut to fit just inside. So there's sort of a black outline around the outside. So once I've checked they're right, I pretty quickly stick the front to the back so that it's only 2 pieces that I need to keep track of on my desk and not the 4. And I want to do some mixed media underneath the trellis, and these are the 3 greens that I'm using in the cardstock. But I've gone for fern, which is the darkest of the green, and I've just scraped it onto my multi-purpose mat and then sprayed it with water. And using a little bit of bubble wrap, I'm just going to transfer it from the multi-purpose mat onto the cardstock. So it doesn't look much at the moment, but I think you'll agree that when the trellis goes in front, it just gives a little bit of a lift to the back of it and adds to that feeling of plant life and perhaps you know, the garden fence with the birds sitting on it in the greenery. So I'm just being careful here to make it look a little balanced, and then I'm going to cut out on the Cricut several different size leaves. The Sprigs and Leaves slimline die cut is the best one for this because you get lots of different sizes of leaf, but because it's a slimline, you need to cut a longer piece of cardboard or cardstock, and obviously it's longer than the actual plates that go into the Cuttlebug, or into my Cuttlebug anyway. So there's two ways you can do it. With this particular die, it does stick quite well. So the first time I put it through, I just go through and expect it to stick to the cardstock, which it does pretty much. So I'm able to shift the die cut and the cardstock up to carry on cutting the bottom half. Now that doesn't work with all of the die cuts, so just be careful of that. And so the second way to do it is the way I'll do it on the next one, where I secure it with a little bit of washi tape. I'll take these out and make little piles. You can see that there's lots of different sizes, and because the cardstock is double-sided and has two colours, then we end up with 4 different colours. So here I am adding a little bit of washi tape to the top and bottom, and for some of the looser dies, this is the way that I do it to keep everything in place while I move it up to do the second piece. And you'll also notice there I've put a little bit of white cardstock underneath just to add what they call a shim layer to make it easier to get some of these finer cuts out of the finished product. So now I can put the trellis back on top of this ink now that it's dry, and when I stick it down, I'm just going to lightly press it down because I want to be able to lift it and place the sprigs and leaves underneath the different joins. But I do need some sticky on most of the joins to make it stick properly. Because it was cut in 2 separate pieces, it slightly overlaps the 12-inch of the cardstock. So I'll just turn it over and use my scissors to trim it so that it's flush with the edge of the paper. And then I can just dry fit a few of these sprigs and leaves. So I do a couple without any glue and then realise it's going to take me forever, so I just wing it. So you're welcome to watch me dry fit them and stick them down while you listen to a little bit of music. As you can see, there's even a little place for the tiny little bits that came off that makes it look like there's leaves falling. Now my next job is to mount the photo, and I want to use the back of this brown, but as you can see I need to mount the photo in something else first, so I choose the Seabrook, and that way when it's a little bit bigger with the mount behind it, it will fit over the gap that's in the back of that mocha piece of cardstock. So it's all about using what you've got and making it stretch as far as you can. I go for 2 different widths of mount, so just a smaller one with the Seabrook, and then using the whole width that's left on that mocha piece and just evening up the top and the bottom so that it's even all the way round. And then I can stick all that together and see what that looks like on the page next to the trellis. And underneath it, I want to put a little piece of that dark green to bring it in. Now this piece of cardstock has been in my stash for many years and it's actually slightly embossed. So it'll bring a little bit more texture to the page as well. So I've measured it to fit underneath the photo, but I'm just going to tear the top along the lines of the sketch, which has the notebook spirally rippy thing. And then I realised that I have stuck everything down just a little bit too keenly. I was so excited to see what the trellis looked like, I forgot that I needed to put this underneath it. But the beauty of using the tape runner is that I can just easily lift it up and then slide this under where I wanted it to go, and then just gradually pop those leaves back down. And then I will also add a couple of those little pieces onto the dark green as well, so that it looks as though it was always there, with the little extra bits fluttering down the side as well. Some of the bits needed a little bit extra adherence, and that's easy to sort too. I'm just going to use the distresser around the outside of the mocha on this photo, and that highlights the white core of the cardstock, and then brushing it up with my fingers highlights it even more, and just it gives it an extra little outline as it goes onto that dark green olive coloured piece of cardstock. Now the sketch has the tip of a tag up the top right out of the photo, out of the back of the photo. So I have decided to make that a whole tag and hide it down the back, and that will give me somewhere to do some journaling. So using the 3D foam tape, I'm just outlining the shape of the tag so that it gives it somewhere to sit without it falling down the back of the picture. And then I'll put a little bit of foam tape around the outside so that the whole thing sits up a bit from the background. And that too will add a bit of texture and depth to the page. So once I take all the backing off, I can stick that down and then put the tag in its little slot up on the top right there. And I'll journal in it a bit later. I need a little bit of silver twine to go in there. So I do that just by folding it in half and threading the loop through the hole in the top of the tag and tying it off above. And then I can trim the twine so that it's the right size and not sticking out too much. The page still looks like it needs something extra to me, so I use my black Le Pen and just go round the outside with some faux stitching. If I was keen, I could do some real stitching, but it's quite close to the edge, so I think the pen's the easier way to go. So it's really just doing a dotted line, the same width in from the edge all the way round, and I think that helps to finish it off a little bit more, and it's also bringing in a bit more black. And I'll add a little bit more black with the title, which I'm just going to say is TUI, and that's the breed of bird. The Tuis are native to New Zealand. They actually have 2 voice boxes, so as you can imagine, they make some delightful chortling when they get going. But they can be bullies to other birds, so interesting to watch when you're in the bush. Anyway, I'll bring a little bit of fern in with my sponge and give a bit of a background colour behind where I'm going to put the title. And I know the letters are too big, but the beauty of the T, the U and the I is that I can trim them. They've all got straight edges, so I can trim the same amount off each letter and have them fit nicely in the gap that I've left down the bottom there. And I think that size title is better for this page anyway, so I'm more than happy with that. And then I can stick them down, and I'll put the U straight with the T and the I on an angle either side of it, which makes it look just a little bit more sort of intimate really. Anyway, once that's done, the only thing that I want to add is some stickles. So I get my silver stickles out and do little drops throughout the trellis. You can't see them too much on the video, I don't think, but I'll put some close-ups at the end so that you can see where they are. And I also do quite a few along the top just to fill in that white space a little bit, and then I'll be done. I hope you've enjoyed watching today's video. Do make sure you watch everybody else who's in the playlist, and that will be listed in the description below. There'll be some great takes on this sketch, and I encourage you to watch everybody's video and leave some love as you go. We all appreciate your likes, your comments, and of course your subscriptions. Subscriptions are free, so hit that button. Happy crafting, everyone!